Happy day 335 of doing one thing every day that makes you happy. From the little journal book, do one thing every day that makes you happy. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, also known as Pajama Grandma. Heavenly connections today. Let's talk about heavenly connections. Today is a sayings day in our little journal book where we're doing one thing every day this year. 2019 is a year of increasing our happiness. And every single day we've picked a little thing in this journal book and we've done it and shared it and written about it and documented what we've done. So that next year, if we need a little dose of happiness again, we can go back through it. We can remember the cool things that we did this year. Today, Heavenly Connections is a sayings day, and it says, grab my handy dandy magnifying glass, the connections we make in the course of a life, maybe that's what heaven is. Fred Rogers said this, and our challenge today says, a heavenly connection I made today. Now, Fred Rogers, also known as Mr. Rogers, reminds me of one of those characters, one of those people that is a love me, hate me, there's no money in the middle kind of human being. He had people that either loved him or hated him, and I never realized that. Growing up, we didn't really watch Mr. Rogers much, my sisters and I found out later on it was because my dad, he irritated my dad for some reason, and I never, to this day, really understood why he rubbed my dad the wrong way. But my dad, for some reason, didn't like Mr. Rogers and the show, so we never watched it. And my kids were growing up, when they were very little, Mr. Rogers was still on, or at least reruns of Mr. Rogers were still on. And I let the kids watch it sometimes. It didn't bother me. Yet it did bother, the show did bother my ex-husband. I don't know why. But it just goes to show you that when we're judging other people, good or bad, we're not necessarily making heavenly connections. We're probably not connecting at all. When we're judging ourselves, are we really connecting much with ourselves at all? Probably not. Not much of a heavenly connection. So what kind of heavenly connections can you make today? What kind of connections can you have where you're really being present, paying attention, and connecting with people? Because it is the experiences and the connections we have with people that will be what matter over the long term and over the course of our lives. So, me, I'm going to spend some time with my friends and family today and make some connections. Actually be present and hang out with them. I encourage you to do the same. Share in the comments below any type of connections that you've had that or experiences that you have found particularly heavenly, particularly positive, that made you really, really happy. Love to hear those. You know, my parents were one of those couples that were just a role model for everybody around them. They loved each other deeply. They were each other's best friends. And that's the type of connection that I'm sure goes beyond this lifetime and is considered a heavenly connection. Do you have examples of experiences or relationships or connections like that in your life? It can be a connection with a stranger. I'll never forget, my ex-husband and I were shopping in a store one time, and I was upset about something. I don't even remember what it was now, but a woman that I didn't know looked me right in the eye when he was somewhere else, and she said, "You're beautiful." And I still remember that woman, her face to this day, because it had an instant positive heavenly connection, and it made me feel better in a time when I was feeling really, really sad. So we can have heavenly connections with random strangers that we meet throughout our life. So maybe you have a story like that. Share in the comments below so the rest of us can benefit from the happy heavenly connections that you've had in your life. Have an amazing day. Be happy, and I will of course be with you tomorrow with another. We've got an interesting thing tomorrow that I don't recall ever seeing an exercise like this before in the 2 years I've been doing this, so I'm really excited to share it with you. Have an amazing day. Be happy. I'll be with you tomorrow.